Since I've come to Glencoe, and after I think our first child became 5 years old, I started baseball coaching, and in basketball I coached that too, and and I got to know all these kids and families and everyone. And I mean, I'm not known as Dr. Dunbar, I'm known as Bill, and I like that. That's the way I like it.
My name is Marilyn Dunbar. I'm a mom of 3 boys and married to Bill. I grew up and didn't go to church very much, and it was different after studying the scriptures. Christ was different to me. When that happened, of course, I wanted to share that faith with my husband, and he wasn't in Bible study, but he was, I think, definitely very curious and asked a lot of questions.
My background was in chemical engineering, and so I had a lot of science and a lot of chemicals and chemistry and how things work, and it was very hard to believe. I was a huge skeptic. Last November, I was going for a weekend of hunting and fishing, and when I got back, I was really feeling quite awful, and I thought maybe there's this H1N1, so I put a sign on the door saying, old man dying, do not enter.
At about 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard him snoring. I gave him the usual elbow, and there was no response. So I turned on the lights, and I pulled the pillow off, and he was blue and struggling for air, and he wasn't snoring. He was definitely gurgling and gagging and in bad shape. I'm a nurse, and not coincidentally, that day at work, I had been recertified in advanced cardiac life support. So that whole day I had been doing CPR on a dummy. A God moment. So I called 911 and started CPR on him, and
on a dummy, right?
No, they put the defibrillator on him, and the defibrillator said not a shockable rhythm, which means that he's flatline, and he was dead. At some point I got on the floor and was just praying, oh God, and that was my prayer. They had him all packaged up and ready to get him out into the ambulance, and they stopped just to check one last time to see if there was a shockable rhythm, and there was. So they did defibrillate him right here in the hallway, and his heartbeat came back. He was stable, but he was in a coma. So they started to cool him down to 91 degrees to preserve brain function. So the neurosurgeon came in, and he was pretty negative about Bill's prognosis. And I asked him, I just said, but do people ever just wake up and be okay after something like this? And he said, well, I suppose it's possible. He said, but that's probably not going to happen. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, it is. It's going to happen. Glencoe community really came together in a big way. They had gathered a prayer service. There were hundreds of people there, and those prayers were felt, and those prayers were heard by a faithful God, and those prayers were answered. So he woke up like I said he was going to wake up. And God was good, and God was faithful, and God's healing wasn't just miraculous, it was complete. He has no brain damage, none.
They actually gave me my phone, and I noticed that Pastor Joel had called, so I had called him back, and I was a little groggy, tired, and all I said was, Pastor Joel, this is Bill Dunbar, I'm alive. You know, I had a 0.5% chance of living. That's pretty much a resurrection, and in my case, what brought me to Christ was the resurrection.
It brought all of us closer. It brought me out of the desert place. I know for sure that God is active and participates in our lives and is powerful and heals. And
I'm given this gift, and you know, maybe it's to just tell people what He's done in our lives.